Hello everybody. Today we're going to be opening these Clash decks, and last time I opened the Clash deck, in the comments of the video they told me that I was doing it wrong and that the way you open these is you actually punch them open. And so today we're going to be doing that, and we're actually going to be setting a world record. We're going to be opening both of these in as few punches as possible. Now the rules are they have to be closed fist, and so there's going to be nothing that you can do to open this without punching the boxes open. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start with this Jin deck. Just gonna give it a good punch. Okay, I think that's one punch. It's a little bit hollow here, so this is probably the best area to punch it. Okay. All right, we got it open a little bit. All right, three. Let's go here. Okay, this is harder than I thought it would be. Okay, nice. I've lost track, but that was 4, I think. 5? Okay. I think we can start punching the front. 6. Okay, I think it's making it harder. Maybe this end, actually. This is starting to hurt a little bit. Okay. I'm regretting this. Ow. Okay, we're almost there though. I might not do the Jin deck. I think we're just gonna do the Jin deck. Okay. I'll recount the number of punches in the edit, but all right. I think we've got a good angle here now. Ow. Okay, it's because I'm punching the cards. That's what's hurting my fist. So let's try and aim for the... Okay, I would consider this open. So let's take this out. However many punches that took, that's the world record because I don't think anyone else has opened a Clash deck by punching it. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited for these decks. Jin has an ability that lets him give your attack 1 speed and 1 damage for each attack in your card pool. Now, I feel like there's there's always ways to cheat attacks into your card pool, and so this ability is actually really neat, especially if you're using some of those abilities. And then another thing is, if your rival has 8 or more foundations, your attack gets 1 speed and 1 damage. That's kind of like a pseudo deadlock kind of ability. I do wonder about those kinds of effects. I do think that playing around it can feel a little gamey, where it's like, oh, how many foundations do you have? And you're always asking your opponent that question. But it's undeniably a good effect, and I think this is going to help Jin scale into the late game a lot better. 1-1 doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually City Rampage stats. That's, very reasonable. Next, we have Blackout. This attack gets 1 damage for each attack in your card pool. On a 3 diff, I think this is very good. This is a card that knows what it wants to do. It wants to be played late in a chain and wants to get a lot of damage for all the attacks you've played. Very nice. And I'm very happy to see punches come back. For a while, we didn't see punches at all, really. I think that punch keyword is really important, especially for certain archetypes that haven't gotten support in a long time. Punches used to be very dominant, and you don't see them as much anymore. Next is Polar Demon Gouge. Your rivals check to block. This gets -3. That's really good. This is like a 7/7, which is good stats for a 6 diff. Admittedly, a 6 difficulty move is always going to be hard, especially when you're Jin and you're trying to string as many attacks as possible. I do think this is an attack you probably are looking to replace. But in characters outside of Jin, this is kind of interesting as a high-statted 6 difficulty move that also has a 0 low block mod and is a punch. Also has EX. Creating an opening. If your rival has 8 or more foundations, or check to block this gets -3. So another pseudo deadlock kind of ability. I do think a lot of people are kind of trained to play until they have exactly 10 foundations, and this is saying, actually, that's 7. Next, we have the Devil's Gene. Spend 1 momentum. If your rival has 8 or more foundations, your attack gets +3 speed. Okay, this is interesting. Destroy if your character is Jin. which you will be if you're playing this card most likely. Um, yeah, I think this top part is just EX3. I mean, there's other cards that do that ability a lot better. The main one being Vertical Maneuvering Equipment, which has the infinity symbol. So I feel like this top effect is basically really bad. But the Enhanced Destroy, Ready Your Character is really good. So I could see you playing a copy of this card if you're Jin, because it's unique. You probably don't want to run too many. That lets you reuse the Enhanced Commit, which is very, very good. That's an incredibly good enhance. Now, the only thing about this card is, you can't, if you enhance commit, you can't ready it and use it on the same attack. So this is another card that's asking you to string out a lot. Next, if your character's committed draw card, will never be bad. This one is a kick. Yeah, I like that card a lot, actually. I do think there are quite a bit of characters that want to be committed, and for mid 4 for a draw 1 on a powerful 2, I think UVS has been consistently power creeping what a 4 diff that says draw 1 card can do, and this is a good example of that. You know, back in the day, a 4 diff that draws a card might be a 3 mid 4, but now it's a 4 mid 4, and it's got powerful and a really good block, so that has been crept up a bit for sure. Next we have Geyser. This attack gets 1 speed for each attack in your card pool. I think that's quite good on a 3 diff. Essentially another card that knows what it's doing. It wants to be played late in a string, and it wants to get a lot of speed. Next we've got a bunch of high right roundhouses. This is a stun 1, 6 high 3. Okay, I think I'm down for that. I think speed is more important than damage most of the time. Because if your attack is low speed, it doesn't matter how much damage you have. It could be infinite damage. Your opponent will just block it. Whereas if you have infinite speed, you're going to hit. So this is kind of like one of those cards that your opponent really doesn't want to block. They're probably going to want to take 3, and that's going to be really nice. Yeah, good card. Next, we have, okay, I almost didn't realize that this was a keyword because it's not blue, but this is a throw. So that means that this will deal damage no matter what, unless your opponent has like Faith Shield or something. Yeah, commit 1 foundation for every kick and punch in your card pool. We've seen variations of this effect, but I don't think we've seen this on a throw, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays. I do think that it's a little weird in that you're committing foundations, so you're trying to say, okay, don't block this because I'm going to commit you out, but it's also a 0 low, so your opponent probably can block it even if they are committed out, and then it is a throw, so we're kind of saying, okay, we're going to commit you out, we're also going to let you block this one, but it's going to be a half block. So there's some interesting things going on. Not too sure how I feel about this, but definitely interesting. Kind of like a good combination between a throw and an ability that's normally not printed on cards that have throw. My theory on throws, though, is that because they're associated with bad block modifiers, okay, I just realized I might have been off camera. Hopefully this helps. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, my theory on throws is that the bad block mod is kind of what holds them back, and what holds back an all-throw build, because normally you're holding attacks in your hand to block with, and having the high block mods actually does matter a lot more than it would seem. And I like that about throws. I like that you can't just jam a deck of all throws and not have a consequence, not have a drawback to that. So I would spin that as a positive thing. Next we have Switchblade. If this attack has received a speed and damage bonus, it gets another speed and another damage. This is really good. I actually think, that's a very easy condition to meet, and a 5 high 5 on a 4 diff is, not bad at all. That's normally stats you would see on like a blank 5 diff, so that's not bad. Awakened Power Stance. Enhanced Commit. This attack gets -2 speed. If its damage is greater than print damage, it gets -3 speed instead. Yeah, I mean, you want to be blocking the things that have higher printed damage than printed damage. So this makes a lot of sense. I think this is a very interesting card, a pretty good card. I think it's just a very normal effect that they like to print a lot. So I expect to see a lot of different variations of that effect many times. Breaking Step, this attack gets 1 damage for every attack in your card pool. Um, yeah, I mean, on a 1 diff, this is actually really good. I think we've seen effects kind of like this, but not quite so cheap. So that has potential. Jin's Cursed Blood. Um, yeah, flip, spend a momentum, your next attack gets -2 difficulty. That's pretty good. And then Enhance Destroy, clear 1 card, non-attack card from your card pool. That's also decent. I think that's pretty good depending on what non-attacks you're trying to clear with that card. Jin's Heart, if your attack deals damage, your next attack gets 3 damage. Pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, Enhanced Commit for 3 damage is not bad at all. Especially with that block mod of too low. Jin's Karate Training. If you have dealt damage this turn, draw 2 cards. I actually really like this. I think this is pretty fair. We've seen foundations that basically turn themselves into draw 2, and they've always been not played too often, but this is cheap enough that I think they're pushing it just enough that it might end up seeing play. It's not that hard to deal damage, especially if you're running like throws, so this is actually quite nice. Jin's Parry. When you block with this card, it ignores progressive difficulty. That's pretty cool. A little weird to see it on these symbols, but definitely a neat 0 diff. Kazama style combos, your attack gets 1 speed and 1 damage. Yeah, that's not bad. Enhanced Flip for 2 speed or Enhanced Flip for 2 damage is pretty standard. Now that you give it 1/1, I think that's nice. It's another variation on something that we've seen a bunch. Key Charge Strike, Enhanced Flip, your attack gets +2 speed. If you've dealt damage this turn, your attack gets +2 damage. So the ability to give it +2/+2 is that's actually really, really good, even for a 2 difficulty foundation. I would say that's actually incredible. I think that this is a very good card. Now you do have to have dealt damage, so maybe this is a little bit win more in the aspect of if you're dealing damage, you're already kind of in a winning position, but I still really like that actually. I think that's above the board for what you would normally see. And finally, Warped Intentions, flip. If this attack is received a speed and damage bonus, it gains stun 1. Overall, my impression of this deck is that it is very strong for what is very simple gameplay. There's nothing in this deck that I went, wow, this is, difficult to understand. This is really crazy complexity-wise. But I came away reading this deck thinking, like, all these cards are pretty decent. I think, you wouldn't go wrong playing these cards. I can't really think of a card in this deck that I would say is just bad. I mean, there are cards that I would definitely replace, and cards that have been replaced by other cards, like the Devil Gene, but I do think overall this is a very solid deck. So if you're a beginner, that's probably what this deck is geared towards, ultimately, and this is a great entry point into Universus. So very easy to understand everything, and pretty powerful, honestly. Just giving you a lot of stats. I mean, this is really like a character that is just all about giving stats to their moves and saying, hey, these moves have big numbers, and maybe you can't deal with that. All right, we're not going to punch our way open with this one because my fist is still a little sore. But we are going to review all the cards in this box. This is the character I'm actually more excited for because I think as an enfranchised player, this one has more of the complexity that I'm kind of looking for, but this is probably less suited for beginner players, in my opinion. It reminds me a lot of a character I used to play back when I started the game called Mineta 2. Now, the reason I played Mineta 2 is because he's kind of like a control-y character that can control the game really well, and I just like that playstyle a lot. So if that's you, maybe this is your character, because June has like a lot of very similar kind of stall out the game vibes. That's what I get from her. Now, obviously, I'm sure you can play this character in an aggressive way, but the reason I think she's more of a control character is of her response. Commit. After an attack deals damage, your rival adds the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. Now, obviously, you can use this on your turn to stuff your opponent's card pool and essentially give all your attacks one more speed. But I think the more interesting way to use this effect is to actually let your opponent deal damage to you, commit June, and say, hey, now you have a card in your card pool. Now your turn is way harder. Even if you go and try and build some foundations, you're doing that too progressive. So I think that is a really powerful thing in this game. Anytime on your rival's turn you can put a card into their card pool, that's going to be really, really strong. One of the best decks right now is trying to ignore progressive difficulty, Berthold 2, and essentially this is saying, hey, you know what? You dealt damage to me, and now you have a card in your card pool, and now you just don't get to do that. So I think this is an incredibly strong response. The Enhance is also really, really good. Enhance, Tenacious, Spend a Momentum, Ready this card. I think that's incredible. I mean, readying a character is, there are very few effects that can do that. In fact, basically all of them are printed on characters. And so the fact that this character can ready herself makes it extremely good and means that you can do this response multiple times and stuff your opponent's card pool multiple times if they're just trying to kill you. This character has the water symbol, so that would probably be the way to go. The way I want to play this character is water, let's run all the damage reduction cards and say your turn is really, really hard. I'm going to referee jury you, I'm going to weapon clash you, you're going to deal 1 damage to me, and I'm going to stuff your card pool every turn. Anyway, let's actually talk about the cards. So, Amatsu Izanami. Your rival adds type card of their deck to their card pool face down. This is pretty good. I mean, 4 mid, 4 8, that's giving all your moves 1 speed for the turn. That's pretty good stats, and it's got a pretty good low block. Very similar to the card we saw from Jin's deck. Shunkei, powerful 3 punch, and that's on a 3 diff. Yeah, this character seems to be a little bit more about momentum, which makes sense. We're a 7-hander. We're going to be playing more cards per turn. Hopefully, adding cards to your card pool to make it harder for them to block, and hopefully getting some momentum. The power to stop Jin. Your attack gets 1 speed and 2 damage if you commit this. Not sure about that one on a 3 diff, but Enhance, Destroy, Spend 1 momentum. If your character is Jun, your attack gets 2 speed and 5 damage. Now that is pretty good. I think it's a good effect. It's not how I would want to be playing this character, but I think this is undeniably a good effect if you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive with this character. Wildlife Protection Agent, Tenacious. If you've dealt damage this turn, add this card to your momentum. Okay, here's how you pay for the powerful on some of these other cards we've seen. This one. So yeah, if you've dealt damage this turn, add it to your momentum. That's pretty good. What I like about this is that it's tenacious. We've seen cards like this that add themselves to the momentum, but they're rarely tenacious. And having tenacious doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is, because it means you can be committing this early on in your turn to pass checks to play attacks, and then add it to your momentum. I think that's really powerful. Just that tenacious keyword makes me excited for this card. Again, though, not in this character, because this character, I feel like, wants to play control. But anyway, Ayami Punch. If your rival has at least 1 card in their card pool, draw a card. Another draw 1 card. That is 3 low, but the low zone is important. You can often catch your opponent off guard with a low attack. So, and another low attack, speaking of lows, Stun 2. Yeah, that's great. And then 2 low 5. Yeah, this is like a back alley haymaker with no draw 1 on it. So yeah, pretty neat. Harade Kanagi. If you have at least 1 other punch in your card pool, this attack gets 1/1. Another 5 high 5 on a 4 diff. I think that's always going to be solid. Izumo, another punch. Your next attack gets 3 damage. I'm really excited to see all these punches. And then Tsukiyomi, after you play this card, if your rival has at least 1 face down card in the card pool, ready 1 face down foundation. That's really, really good. And this attack gains throw. Yeah, that makes this like a 3 diff, 3 mid 5 throw. That's actually a really, really good throw. I mean, this is what you would see on a 4 diff that doesn't have throw. So a 3 mid for 5 on a 4 diff, you know, that readies a card. I think this card is actually really, really good. Obviously, your rival has to have a face down in their card pool, but that's not that hard. This could be a really good Moneta card now that I think about it. Yeah, anyway, the 2 decks feel very similar, actually. I wasn't quite expecting that. I didn't read the card lists before opening these, but so far I see a lot of parallels to the Jin deck we just opened. Anyway, we've got 1 diff. Your punch attack gets 1 speed or 1 damage. We've seen something like this before for allies, and I don't think it saw much play, honestly, but not bad. I mean, 0 diffs are always... The most important thing about a 0 diff is always the fact that it says 0 on it, unless we're talking about like release or something. But yeah, so just the fact that it's a 0 diff makes it good. Adept Parry. After you block with this card, your rival commits 1 foundation. Pretty good. So yeah, Breaker 1 essentially, and then Enhance Spin Momentum, add this card to your hand. You know, I think that didn't need that 1 momentum cost, but not bad. Not bad. Always nice to have that option. Angelic Heart, flip. If you've dealt damage this turn, your attack gets 2 speed. Not bad. Defy Fate, destroy 1 foundation, your punch attack gets 1 speed and 1 damage. This is pretty good. Destroy foundation to give your thing 2 stats. I think that's actually above rate. That's really good. You normally see that on 1 diff, admittedly, for only 1 stat. Diverting Energy, commit, this attack gets -2 speed. You may flip this card. Okay, I like this a lot. Because early game, oftentimes you don't need the full -4 speed. You might only need the -2 speed. This reminds me a lot of Cooperation Offer. I think this is actually a really solid card. I could see this seeing some play. Because anytime you can just go, oh, -4 speed, that's a good card in my book. Ecological Fighter. Enhance, flip, ready 1 face down foundation. If you have dealt damage this turn, ready 2 face down foundations. This is pretty crazy. That's actually, I mean, I would say that's now it is a 4 check, so it's not free, but being able to ready 2 face down foundations is kind of nutty. Not gonna lie. I think that's a really good card. June's Flowing Strikes. Hold on 1 moment while I refresh the camera. Yeah, this is another good card. Your turn, destroy. If your rival has 8 or more foundations, they add the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. It is your turn, but I think that's, you know, that's fine. That's a pretty good effect. Kazama Style, Traditional Martial Arts. If there's a punch in your card pool, draw a card. 2 diff, that draws a card. I love it. And Purge the Evil. Commit, if your rival has 2 more cards in card pool, your attack gets 3 damage. Now, I do think based off of the way they've built the structure deck, the way you're going to be playing June with this deck is you're going to be kind of aggressive. Because a lot of the cards care about having face-down cards in your opponent's card pool. But I think this has a lot of potential as a character that you kind of ditch the deck and you build a totally different deck with a lot of damage reduction. I think this character actually is incredibly good. That's just my opinion though. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you guys next time.